I got a phone call from Bill one day. It says, "Hey, we're going out to look at some property near Denver. Um, Michael Kaiser's going to be there, and we're wondering if you'd like to join us." I said, Absolutely. You get invited to walk property with anyone named Kaiser and Bill Core and Ben Crenshaw. You take it."
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a dreamy episode of the Whole Story Podcast. Jonathan, can we call it a dream episode?
It's getting pretty close to the dream. I mean, in terms of the people that you have an opportunity to meet at the most random place, where we met Tom over
Not random. Okay, so
I mean,
you
as
tell the
random as
story.
you-
I tell it when we talk to Tom here that people will hear in a second. You tell the story.
It's as random as it gets, Robbie. Like we're at the old course, and now, granted, everybody that's there at the old course, you're probably gonna have a conversation with because we're all there to enjoy golf. And all of a sudden, there's a guy that literally has a logo for a golf course that doesn't exist yet.
It exists. It has. No one has hit a shot there yet.
Right, but that's the thing. Like it's like growing grass still, and so of course we know what's going on. We've heard things and we read things and everything else, and you're like, why do you have that jacket on? And here we are with Tom, an incredible listen. Every time we have writers on, I feel like we need more writers because they just tell good stories.
Yeah, he was so good, and yeah. So Tom Ferrell, Dream Golf, the VP of Media and Communications. Again, we meet because we see Rodeo Dunes logos on his hat as well, and his jacket there at the home of golf, and we've struck up a friendship. Got to meet and hang out with him and his buddy Mark. The only thing I wish we would have done is maybe been able to jump in the Dun Vegan and have a pint with them or something. But we got to see them for a couple days in a row, see them hanging out, having fun. Two guys that have played golf together for 50 years.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what it's all about.
We talked about that actually on the course because we're like, how great would that be when we're in our 80s? Because we started playing together when we were 27, 28 years old. How cool would that be?
They started much earlier.
Yeah, but still, like, we can play golf for a long time. It'd be fantastic if we're in our 70s and 80s still out there. This time from the gold tees, not from the back part. So
we can play whatever tees you want. You be hitting that stack system, you'll be crushing 300-yard drives at 80. Don't worry.
True.
Don't
Maybe
worry.
not.
Awesome episode. We learned a lot more about dream golf. We hear so many people when we ask the question, "What's your bucket list?" They say Bandon Dunes, Sand Valley. We've talked to so many people that say, "Oh my gosh, Sand Valley's great. The Lido, the sandbox there," or I've gone out to Bandon. I played shorties like the new par 3 course and all the great things that they're doing. And like you mentioned, Rodeo Dunes, Wild Spring Dunes, like all the things that are coming in the Dream Golf Network. They're doing it right, and we get to talk to Tom, and it was great. I think you guys will love this episode. As always, we want to give a thanks and a shout out to our friends at Summit Golf Brands. Tom met us while we were rocking some Beach Ratty zero restriction stuff. We are still crushing some, I don't know if we're crushing it, but we're wearing Beach Ratty shirts that are great. Our buddy Dan Drollinger is very kind, and everybody there at Summit Golf Brands for supporting us. They're kind enough to give you, our listeners, 20% off on any of those brands. If you go to their websites and use BestBall20, you can get some of their great stuff. Their summer stuff's out now. I know fall stuff is coming out soon, and it is worth every bit of it. So go grab some stuff. Also, our friends at Western Birch, Lewis and the team there. Jonathan, we talk about it every time. Great golf tees. Customize them in a way you want. Color, put your design on them. I would imagine that a lot of the dream courses, they have some of the greatest logos in golf. I imagine maybe they use Western Birch for their golf tees, like we have. So many thanks to those guys. If you use Best Ball in the shipping cart, you can get a free gift with your order. But I say it's a dream episode. I'm excited about the opportunities we have coming up. I get to go. Scheduling conflicts, you are not able to make it, but we're going to go check out the Commons in September. New course opening there at Sand Valley, and we'll be talking a whole lot more about that as we get closer. But today, I want to introduce you to our friend Tom Ferrell with Dream Golf. Y'all enjoy. All right, Today's guest on the Whole Story podcast, Mr. Tom Ferrell. A great story about how we actually met. We are standing on the putting green at the old course, about to play for the first time, and I see this guy wearing a Rodeo Dunes shirt, a hat, and I thought, you know what? This guy, there it is. This guy knows something. Wearing a logo of a course, a place that's not even open yet, and got to meet Tom. So Tom, welcome, man. I appreciate you sitting down with us to tell your story.
Really my pleasure, guys. And yeah, that was fantastic. A chance meeting, particularly after y'all had gotten to know my colleague Brandon Carter from Sand Valley at Landman last year. So I would say we're all doing something right if we're having these relationships crop up in these places that we do.
Before we get to the whole story of everything you've done in golf, how did your round go over at the old course?
Well, it's funny. I started out my trip in Scotland really hitting the ball well, and I found a pattern that I really didn't appreciate, which was when I was going out at St. Andrews and the wind was kind of right to left, I was on fire, man. I was great. I think I shot 4 under on the Jubilee course front nine, right? When I turned and came in with the wind going left to right, it was like I'd never held a golf club before in my life, and so every round was Jekyll and Hyde, and I think I broke 80 both days in reverse and forward, but I had some shots I'm not very proud of, I have to say.
Yeah,
That sounds like golf.
And I hit
it
some
does.
I am proud of too.
That's
I
right.
mean, look, it was my first time there. I think that's true for you guys as well.
Correct.
Um, I've been in this game now for for a real long time, and St. Andrews I just missed it. I'd been to Scotland 3 times. I'd just not been able to get to the old course, and um, so really and truly, how I performed on it was so far down the list of what I was taking in, and there are just moments that will be forever etched. That what an incredibly humbling experience to stand there where where the game began. I mean, geez.
Yeah. It was a very humbling experience, and one that, like you said, we'll just never forget. But let's back up the memories, I guess, and hear the story. Like, when did you pick up a golf club, get interested in golf, start playing this game?
Well, one of the reasons I think we all hit it off is I'm a Southerner too, right? I grew up down in South Georgia, and everything hits a little different down there, it seems to me. So I was the oldest child of 2 oldest children. So I was the very first in the new generation of my family. Um, that plays into the golf origin story in that my family my grandmother was a devout Presbyterian, which I encountered a lot of imagery from my youth in St. Andrews, which I didn't expect to do, because St. Andrews, of course, is the home of the Presbyterian Church, or the Church of Scotland, which is the Presbyterian Church. But our family, we weren't allowed to play games or spend money or all this on Sundays. My grandfather, small town doctor, quickly found a loophole with this when he had when he had a young grandson. And he convinced my grandmother that taking young Tommy out to the driving range when I was 5 and 6 years old, um, that God would allow that, and felt pretty good about that, right? And so my grandfather started taking me out to the driving range at Okefenokee Golf Club in Waycross, Georgia, and he had cut down a little driver for me. The shaft was so stiff, that I mean it was like a railroad rail. You couldn't bend it, and had a big laminated head on it that weighed, I don't know, more than I did probably. And I would sit there and hit balls, and he would sit on the hood of his blue Chevy Impala, And I'll never forget it. I'd look back, he'd have his starch white shirt on and be tipping a flask. And so that was my introduction to golf. And so golf's just something, I mean, I took junior lessons, didn't quite, I mean, I wasn't an 8-year-old phenom or anything. But then one day in 1972, I was 10, maybe 9, and I'm walking down the hallway in my house, and my dad says, "Hey, Tommy, come over here. Watch this golf shot. This is important. It's at Pebble Beach. Jack Nicklaus is trying to win the U.S. Open. This is a par 3. He's hitting a 1-iron, which I didn't even know what a 1-iron was, but I could tell by the way my dad was talking about it, it was something really important, right? And hard to hit. And it was the famous shot where Jack hit the flagstick and settled down, that far from the hole. And I was hooked. From that moment on, I was gone. And
You started practicing your one
played.
iron over and over again.
I hit a 1-iron until I was well into my 30s. And I
That's
actually was
impressive.
cleaning out the garage just on Sunday and came across that old Spalding 1-iron that I used to carry. And I actually, the first time I played Pebble Beach, that tee back there still existed. Now maybe it still does. But I went all the way back and I hit a 1-iron on it. And I was 23 or 24 at the time. And so golf has kind of just been part of my life, and I mean, I'm like, I've tried to quit for 50 years, honestly, but I keep falling off the wagon.
That's a good way to put it.
Well, you've also somehow managed to make this part of your professional life. So when did the two join together? Did you find this late in life, or did you just as soon as you graduated high school, college, said, "I'm all the way in with golf"?
I didn't. Jonathan, I had I'd kind of sworn it off. I'd kind of given it up. I walked on and played some golf with the team at the University of Georgia. I was not a team member. I did not. I never was on a scholarship track, but I was a pretty good player, and I had injured my shoulder in my senior year of high school, and it really blew all the recruitment stuff out of the water. And but I played a lot of golf with the golf team at the University of Georgia. And I came out of that and, it just, golf wasn't where I was. I had discovered when I decided I wasn't going to come back from that shoulder injury and stop playing with the team after my freshman year, I, uh, I had the great opportunity to do what every, uh, you know, uh, itchy college kid was doing at the time, which was to go on the road with the Grateful Dead, and and I did that, and had an absolute blast. Um, had so much fun. Some of my old college buddies then became the band Widespread Panic. I was living in a rock and roll life, kind of, and I got a job. So I was an English major, surprised that Fortune 500 companies were not knocking down my door, right? So what did I do? I moved to the closest cool town to Red Rocks Amphitheater that I could find, which was Boulder, Colorado. So I moved to Boulder, and I got to know this guy who had been a dorm room entrepreneur, one of these guys that idolized Michael Dell. And he was doing memory boards for Texas Instruments computers. This is how long ago this was, right? And he said, "Yeah, well, I could use a writer, I got a couple of things." I said, "Okay, well, what would I write?" He said, "Well, you could be a tech writer, a technical writer, or you could be a marketing writer." I said, I just think I'm going to go with marketing on that one for some reason. And within a year, I was like the director of marketing of this little startup high tech company. And I went through a series of uh, high tech jobs, and punctuated, and then paused in that, and wrote a novel, a Southern Gothic golf novel. Um, and then came back and said, "I really need to get on with this career stuff," right? And I did not publish a novel, although we can talk about that in a little while because there's some interesting stuff happening with that. Um, and while I was traveling around with this company I ended up with, Compatible Systems out of Boulder, fantastic little company. We were connecting Apple Talks to Ethernets, and then all of a sudden we could connect Ethernets to this new thing called the Internet. And so I was on the trade show circuit, on the analyst tour circuit, and I was going to New York, I was going to San Francisco, I was going to Boston, and I'm like, man, this was back in the days before you were a slave to a cell phone. And so I'd do my work, and by 4 in the afternoon or so, usually done, and I was going to play golf at these, whatever great public course I could find. And I wanted to play better courses. So I started writing about golf for magazines. And I mean, I literally walked into the newsstand, found the Colorado Golf Magazine with the nicest looking production value at the time, and called the guy up and said, hey, I'd like to write for you. He said, yeah, I don't pay my writers. I said, I don't want any money. I said, but if you give me some business cards so that I can legitimately tell people I'm a golf writer, I'm in. We got a deal. One thing led to another, and we ended up selling that company. And that gave me enough wherewithal to be able to make a career choice at that point. And I started up a little marketing agency. I'd been publishing golf articles now for 10 years. Started up a little marketing agency in the golf world that today might look something like Andy Johnson does at Fried Egg, or like you guys do, right? And but the world wasn't quite ready for it then, and the media wasn't quite there was still a lot of gatekeeping in the media back then, right? And so that's when I made the switch over. The marketing agency had a killer client list, but I didn't know anything about managing a business and running a business, and ended up my biggest client was a young club that was just starting, and it was called Colorado Golf Club, and they had hired Ben Crenshaw and Bill Cords to do their design. And they said, well, you can document the design and the creation of the club for us. And ultimately they hired me from my own business. They hired me away from myself. And that's when I was full time in the business.
That's really cool. You mentioned a golf novel though, like what, and it never got published, or maybe it's coming. Like what? I got
Well, so
distracted. I don't know.
the story on the novel, listen, I've had a long, I spent a lot of years that a lot of people spend growing up, and I spent just having fun, right? And funnily enough, it didn't start when I was in college. I was actually a relatively serious person, even as we went through the Grateful Dead tours and all of that stuff. And I was very serious about writing a novel, and I did it. I wrote 3 full drafts, 338 third draft pages. It's called The Distant Green is the name of the manuscript. I went to all these writing classes and these writing groups, and I finished the thing. And I was under a little bit of financial pressure at the time because I'd used up the meager savings that I had to do that. I went and wrote the third draft in Highlands, North Carolina, by the way. I mean, I actually did the thing of living on the edge of the Nantahala National Forest, and for 4 months, I was a writer. It was really, really cool. So and I got back to Colorado. I got into an actual job that quickly bustled into a career, and the novel kind of sat there waiting to be sold. And I sent it off to one publisher. It was a big publisher, Viking Penguin, and they came back with a really outstanding rejection letter. you know, but it was the kind of rejection letter that working novelists talk about, right? It really did have some good stuff, and it really pointed out some shortcomings and I was a 28-year-old, not very professional writer, but the story's good. And the story is one of the divergent paths of a gambling team in Georgia, and from a little public course in Macon, Georgia. And it in a series of flashbacks and multiple timelines, you go back to the days of the United Golf Association, the African American tour, kind of back in the 40s and early 50s, and this the book kind of edges in on some of the racial elements of golf and the old South and and all of this stuff. So you've got a kid who comes in from a mysterious past who's a prodigy and he's headed to the PGA Tour. And then the guy who taught him the game was the superintendent at a fictional public course in Macon, who was the grandson of the man who integrated the public courses in Macon. Um, and those two are a gambling team, and their fortunes are going different directions. And so it goes through this whole thing. There's murder, there's mayhem, there's betrayal, there's lust, there's all the novel things in it. And so, soon 10 years had gone and I hadn't pulled the damn thing out of the drawer, right? And then I finally did pull it out of the drawer and I rewrote the first section of it and kind of brought it into a more mature view and a little bit better writing quality. And then it kind of went back in the drawer again. And frankly, in that time, I did what a lot of writers do, which is I started drinking, right? And and I finally stopped, right? I stopped drinking. And when I stopped, it became apparent to me that I had really done something when I was young. People go off and write the great American novel, or they want to, but not too many people do. But I did. I'd done that, and it became something. This was in the last 5 years. I said, I think I want to do something with this book, and I have done. I have a major job with Dream Golf, which I love and which is my number one priority, right? I love getting up every day and doing what I do. But this novel has sat there and I've begun talking about it more and I've begun getting feedback on it more and it's currently being read by an agent who is mainly doing me a favor, and we'll see. We'll see if it ever goes anywhere. But I'm going to try to release it and let it out into the universe and see what happens with it because I think it actually is a fairly entertaining story.
I love it. Well, I knew you were a writer because I've been reading a lot of your material on the Dream Golf site and in the magazine. But let's go there. Like, what led you to Dream Golf? Mike Kaiser and the family, they've built some incredible things. Everybody's heard of Bandon Dunes, Sand Valley, a lot of great things happening. But how did you end up working with these guys as their VP of Media and Communications?
Luckiest person in the world. And the way it happened was I can never repay Bill Coore and Ben Crenshaw for what they have done in my life, right? And so I got to know Bill and Ben when we were building Colorado Golf Club. I was at Colorado Golf Club for a total of 17 years and did membership work for them, did all their marketing communications, business development, governing body relationships I contributed to. And so through that, and through Ben and Bill, and through their network, I got to know a lot of people. And we formed the Coore and Crenshaw Society. And our take on that, there are a lot of architecture golf societies. But our kind of twist on that was we wanted directors, developers, owners, and operators. Each club fields one team that are involved in the club, right? Because we feel like Coore and Crenshaw clubs are a little different from the average bear. And in doing that, I got to meet a lot of really great people, among them Mr. Kaiser, right? And I took the Coore and Crenshaw Cup to Bandon. This year it goes to Sand Valley, I'm happy to report. But I took it to Bandon in 2012, and that was my first visit to Bandon. And I wrote about Bandon, and Mr. Kaiser enjoyed the article, right, and told me that, and that was high praise. And I continued to. I wrote stories about Bill and Ben, and I would always quote Mr. Kaiser, and I got to know him fairly well. I then got to know Michael a little bit, and Chris was young, but I got to know him as he was starting his first business, which was an online golf shop module for clubs to buy into. So I'd gotten to know the Kaiser family a little bit, and time goes by, time goes by, time goes by, and I get a phone call from Bill one day. It says, "Hey, we're going out to look at some property near Denver. Um, Michael Kaiser's going to be there, and we're wondering if you'd like to join us." I said, "Absolutely. You get invited to walk property with anyone named Kaiser and Bill Core and Ben Crenshaw. You take it. That's just a good thing to do." And I did. And there were these incredible sand dunes outside of Rodeo, Colorado. And Michael and I started falling behind the group and just talking a little bit. And we talked about pricing, founders, how the market in Denver might be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And after that day, he sent me an email and said, "Well, would you like to come up to Sand Valley and meet and talk shop?" I was really not looking for another job. And I said, "Absolutely, love to do that." And I go up there and we play golf for a couple of days and talk. And I kind of came away from there thinking, man, they're going to hire me, right? It's going to be great. And then they didn't hire me, right? And so we went into the fall. So that had happened in June, into the fall, and they did come back and say, we'd like you to do some contract work with us, and I did. And part of that involved launching Sedge Valley when it was first getting started in construction, and it just kind of grew from there. And then eventually in 2022, in January 2022, they made me an offer, and it's the greatest thing short of my family. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life. It's um, just an amazing opportunity to work with. Michael is a visionary at the same level as his dad, right? His energy level is off the charts. Chris is a very how would I say it? A very deep thinker, and is he has business skills and thoughts and perspectives that have really helped me grow a lot. Old dog learning new tricks, in a lot of ways. And, each property has kind of a different business structure, and there are different personalities involved, and there are different people involved. And, I get to go out and represent something I truly believe makes life better for the people who love what we do. Um, that's what you guys get to do. I mean, this is where we not many people get to say that.
Right. For those of you keeping track at home, I think you're on your fourth life at this point, right? Like you've listed things that, like, I decided I was going to go tour with the Grateful Dead, and then I wrote a book, and now I'm working for quite possibly like the epitome of what everyone dreams. If you go listen to our podcast, almost every single bucket list is going to include a course that you're now a part of, and then you're coming up with more. Like you're just making this better and better and better. So talk about like Dream Golf opening up new courses, which everyone's going to want to go to again. The list just keeps getting longer and longer.
It's just an amazing thing. It keeps happening. At the PGA show last year in January, the number one question that we were getting, because we had announced and we're beginning to work on Rodeo Dunes. We had been talking about this project in Texas. Sand Valley had added Toledo, had added Sedge Valley, was talking about adding the Commons, this 12-hole course. So Sand Valley alone, fastest growing golf resort in America, now fastest growing golf community in America, I mean, it's a, it's an incredible place. And then of course you still got a bunch of stuff happening at Bandon as well, So, um, the question I kept getting asked was how do you, how are y'all going to pull it off, right? And I look forward to going back to the PGO show this year and showing the photos of the courses. So Sand Valley, I think you guys know, is opening the Commons next year. We're going to start offering some very limited preview play. I think at least one of our team here is going to be there in September, and can't wait. It's a 12-hole course. Jimmy Craig, inspired by the wild and woolly dunes of the British Isles. Um, Really a spectacular site for a golf course. And then, and this is classic Michael Kaiser as a developer. It's one of the reasons I truly I think he's as good as anyone in the game and is only getting better. There's a peninsula. We had built a big lake for the community, for homes to go around it. And there's a peninsula out there that was going to be probably the highest value real estate at Sand Valley. And Michael kept walking out there and he said, I keep seeing golf. I don't see houses out here. I keep seeing golf. And Jim Craig now refers to it as his stocking stuffer. In December, a couple of years ago, Michael said, I'm going to give you the peninsula, design some holes on them. Try not to make it too jarring from the links style that you've already done into. And let me tell you, when you see these holes out on these, we don't have any water holes at Dream Golf. We never have. We do now. We got 3 of them, and they are spectacular. And it concludes with the 11th hole, which is one of the most interesting Redan holes I've ever seen. So we're really looking forward to introducing that to the world, right? And then Rodeo Dunes here in Roggen, Colorado, 45 minutes from where I'm sitting. I mean, how lucky is that? This area is, I mean, the dunes are 85 to 90 feet high. It's, um, maybe a little bit of a blend of the terrain of Sand Hills and Ballyneal. I think the dunes are a little higher than Sand Hills, but not quite as compressed as Ballyneal. But it's 45 minutes from downtown Denver, and 35 minutes from DIA. And it's in a completely different part of the world. This is a part of Colorado that tourism doesn't really hit. Everyone gets on I-70 and goes west. And the Colorado mountains are beautiful. I don't discourage anybody from being there. But the plains, the eastern plains, I mean, wait till you see sunrises out there and sunsets out there. And these golf holes that Bill Coore and Ben Crenshaw have built in and through and over and around these dunes. It's just, it's mind-blowing. And so we're at the point we're going to have 12 holes open for founder play for one day in September. Actually, it'll be 2 days, but it's one event over 2 days for our founders only. And then next year we'll be kind of easing it into 18-hole play, and then probably throw out the grand opening TBD, right? But it's growing in. We have 12 holes that are growing in now. We got 6 holes that have already been seeded. This golf course is coming to life, and it is unbelievable. And I'll tell you, we had some delays in getting our land disturbance permit last year. So we were ready to go. The construction, all the equipment was there, all the people were there, and then it was a hurry up and wait situation. The permit finally came through on June 20th of 2024 at 10 a.m. At 10:30 a.m., number 10 fairway had been scraped. All right. They averaged, maybe about 1.7 holes a week in design, and then began grassing in April of this year. I mean, it was unbelievable. And, there was nothing heavier than a mid-size excavator there. I mean, the water trucks and the seeding trucks were the heaviest equipment that had ever been on the property. So that's amazing. And we've got the rodeo story there with our partners who are incredible rodeo producers and incredible people. And I think it's going to be a really fun story to tell. Um, uh, so then, I'll stop there. I
Yeah.
want to go on to Texas when y'all are ready, but
Yeah, no, so yeah, we could go into Texas, but I guess one question I have is yes, there's a lot of new things coming, and those are easy to write about, easy to tell the stories about. But it takes skill what you do for the Bandons and the Sand Valleys that have been there that people know about that they love. How do you in your job keep selling over and over? I know they sell themselves, so maybe you just have the easiest job in the world. Don't tell
don't
anybody.
tell anybody. um, no, it's a really great question, and the Kaiser family would never let us do that, right? Resting on laurels, no, we don't do that. We're constantly, I mean, the team that I get to work with is the hardest working team I've ever seen. We hold ourselves to a standard that is so high that we're walking around grumbling sometimes, and guests are elated, you know, because we want it to be the best it can be. Now, I mean, Michael Kaiser at Rodeo and at Texas, Michael and Chris at Sand Valley, Chris primarily at Bandon. I mean, these are people who care deeply about the experience that the guest has, from reservations, which, as you know, is a little bit of a sticky wicket for us at times, right? To exit and to memory. And so what we try to do is deepen that relationship at every step of the way, right? Our our golfers are adventurers, you know. They're not out riding carts. They're suiting up at Bandon in all kinds of weather, and Wisconsin in all kinds of weather. Um, they're out walking and playing the game of golf as it was played in the areas where we were this spring. And we found it this spring, right? It was sunny, but it was cold and windy when we were there. And
Yeah, we
did
had
that
it seemed
stop? I
like
mean, did
perfect
you ever
weather.
consider? Did you ever consider taking the day off? Right? I mean, no.
Never.
And so I think the main thing is to deepen that connection, to listen even more intently to our guests, and to just elevate the experience. And more than elevate the experience, that sounds like going towards luxury, it's but to deepen the experience that the guest can have here. I mean, I think in the end, you don't manufacture an experience, you curate an environment that allows your guests to manufacture whatever experience they are there to get. Our guests are adventurers, they're pilgrims, I mean, it's a very literary process. I actually just see a lot of parallels. Our brand, well, she's our creative director, but I think there's going to be a higher title for her very shortly. Um, she's absolutely obsessed with uh, how the signs look, how the accommodations meet the environments, how the people who build our facilities. We're constantly updating and upgrading, and it's just a team of very creative people who do very creative things, and who kind of outdo each other. Man, did you see what they did over there? In this department, we got to stand up on that. So, um, we work hard, and I guess it's an easy job in the sense that it's easy to get up and come in to do it every day. Uh,
Love it.
but in terms of what we do, we reject a lot more ideas than we pursue, and we develop all those ideas so that we can give them an honest rejection. So we work.
Well, and I think you used the right term. It's a pilgrimage because there are folks who have the life that they're coming back multiple times, or it's a regular trip, and so you have to create something that is special over and over again. But then you also have the folks that this is the once in a lifetime trip that they're not making this. This might be once every 10 years that they're able to put this thing together. And so you want it to be just as special. And obviously from a marketing perspective, you also want to go, well, hey, have you gone to Wisconsin? Have you gone all the way out to the West Coast? And now you've got two other states that you get to invite people to.
Yeah, Jonathan, I think one of the things that there are a couple of things that strike me on that. One, starting at Bandon, this happens at Sand Valley too, but at Bandon, when you are curating a place and are steward, you're responsible for stewardship of a place where people spread their loved ones' ashes. That's a big deal, right? Our guests are fellow travelers. They are not customers, so to speak, right? They are our fellow travelers, and we take that seriously. I mean, it almost sounds naive sometimes when you talk about it, but I've talked to too many of them. I know it's true. I've seen fathers and sons, I've seen mothers and daughters, right? I've seen husbands and wives come out and find something there that they bond over, I mean, this is does golf make the world a better place? I don't know, but it makes it a much better place for people who love golf, right? And so, I can find a lot of meaning in that. I can find a lot of meaning, and so can everybody who has the incredible privilege of working with these properties and these people who have brought them to life, right? So, I think that's one thing, right? And then I'll jump down to Texas. I can tell several Sand Valley stories on this as well, but I'll jump down to Texas. And when we were before we'd really gotten started, word was getting out in the local community that something was happening. And I got this email forwarded to me by a woman not far from the property. And she was very fearful, and why are y'all doing this? You're disrupting. We just love our rural way of life. We don't want a fancy golf resort. Why are you doing this? And I sent it around to everybody, and I said, I think we should always be able to. I didn't sit down and fire off a letter back to her, but we think about that. Okay, we're moving into a community here, right? And we've got to be neighbors. How do we do that? How do we do that without being artificial about it? And as you guys no doubt know, as you communicate with your audiences, it's easy to fall into artificial sometimes. That's the easier, softer way a lot of times, to remain authentic and to take the time to do things with with some kind of clarity of purpose is a difficult thing. And so I have that woman's email. I think about it every day. I hope that in 10 years she goes, boy, I was really wrong about that place. you know I think the neighbors in Wisconsin say that. I think the neighbors at Bandon say that. I have had a lot of colorful and wonderful interactions with the neighbors in Colorado because they're a bunch of ranchers and cowboys, right? And it's fantastic. I'd never been to a rodeo until I got involved with this. Now I've probably been to half a dozen, maybe more than that. And you know what? There's something really beautiful about that family nature and that culturally this community that surrounds this culture of rodeo, and it's not unlike this community of links golfers who are willing to go to any links. I met a guy in the pen of a rodeo, right on top of the bucking chutes, and he had already ridden. And I said, "Man, do you ever worry about having your neck snap and your head fly off right now?" I mean, watching a bucking bronco up close is a stressful thing. And he looked at me. It's from Arizona. He looked at me square in the eyes, and he said, "Man, for 8 seconds, there's nothing in the universe except me and a horse." And I was like, "You know what? I can totally understand that, man." totally understand that. For 8 seconds when the internet fired up, when I was at Compatible Systems, there was nothing in the universe except that guy and the rest of the online universe, right? When I was at on the Grateful Dead tour, the 8 seconds where Jerry Garcia was going off and channeling God, right? Um, at in golf, there's those 8 seconds when your golf swing is pure and you hit it in the center of the face and the ball flies away, and for a second you believe it's never going to come down, right? I mean, I live for those 8 seconds. And when he said that to me, I said, I get that, dude. We are of the same cloth.
As long as the wind's blowing right to left, right?
Exactly. It's like 8 hours in the other one.
Not left to right.
Oh. But, that's the beautiful thing about golf. If it were all poetic all the time,
right?
That wouldn't be it. I mean, I love that fact when you're playing well, it's like you're never going to play bad again.
Right.
I
figured it out.
I'm never going to play well again.
Right.
And it's, if everything were just sunshine and incense and peppermints all the time, it's that doesn't have any moral or emotional heft. And in golf, golf will humble you. It'll humble you fast.
Yes, it will. And that's one reason that, and maybe not, but Jonathan and I always talk about golf as people, and it's all about the experience, right? It's all about, like, the two guys that we got paired up with, Adam and Andrew, they're in Scotland.
Yeah.
Like, we had never met them. We had actually figured it out online that we were going to be playing with these guys. Now we're in a text thread. I'm going to see them in a few weeks. Like, we're good friends. They're up in Indianapolis. Like, we've become good friends with them. And even on, like, the putting green, meeting you, and, like, just the interactions that come from the experiences around this game that we love. And I think that's what Dream Golf has done so well. You talk about the experiences and the stuff and the little details that you guys keep working on to improve, from lodging to food to, on the course with caddies and just, every person I've ever talked to, and we talked with you that, we haven't been to Bandon, we haven't been to Sand Valley yet. Those are on the bucket list for us. But everybody we've ever talked to that has been there, I've never heard a bad story. Everybody loves it. They've had the greatest trip of their lives. I had two friends that just came back from Bandon, and they were like, the wind beat us up. We want to go back. Like, they absolutely loved it. We were talking with a friend the other day. He's like, I'll go play. He just played the Lido, and he got to play the sandbox. And he said, I would play the sandbox nonstop if I could. And this guy goes and plays a lot of places, but he absolutely. So y'all are doing kind of the essence of people and experiences and just what golf really should be about. I'd much rather talk to people when I finish a round that they say, hey, how did you enjoy it versus what'd you shoot? Right? Because that's what golf is about to us.
When I discovered Robby, that I did not have to base my enjoyment of golf on my performance on the golf course, and that there was this world of golf course design and club management and resort management where you could express the game and that exact feeling that you described eloquently there. That's when golf developed a new dimension for me, And I can actually pinpoint the day it was. It was when I played Riviera for the first time. I was like, there's no way a golf course should be in this little canyon. There's no way it should fit in here. And yet it was just placed in beautifully. You never felt cramped. And then in terms of the people, I too, I'll be at Sand Valley next week, and I get to play with one of my hosts, a guy who hosted us at Muirfield while we were in Scotland. He and his son are coming over, and he and his son were with me when I was 4 under on the front at the Jubilee, and thinking, man, we've got a tiger by the tail. And then I shot 44 coming in or something. And so I love that. I love that whole thing. Golf is people is really what it is. I mean, it really is what it is. And if you listen to the old golfers, the old, the best storytellers. I grew up in South Georgia, and I mean, there were people there was an old man at the club I grew up at who had won the 1932 Public Links. Now, he had gotten introduced to golf. He was a child of the Depression. Well, he was, I guess he was living through the Roaring Twenties, poor in Jacksonville, Florida. Babe Ruth came on a home run hitting exhibition, and he was back behind the stadium to collect Babe Ruth home run balls, thinking he could sell them and make a little money. And he went into the woods to relieve himself, from taking a break from chasing Babe Ruth home run balls, and came across a woman who was looking for her ball. There was the woods ended at Hyde Park Golf Course in Jacksonville. So, and he found the ball for her, and she said, "Oh, do you want to make $1?" And his hair about fell out. He's like, $1? Yes, ma'am. And we'll carry my bag, right? So he caddied for her to the rest of the round, and she said, "I'm going to play again tomorrow. Will you meet me here tomorrow?" And he became, he started playing golf. I mean, he's kind of like the character in my book. He was a prodigy, right? He just, developed it. So he qualifies for the public links, and he's got to go to Louisville, Kentucky from Jacksonville, and he qualifies with hickory shafts. And a member at Hyde Park comes up to him after he qualifies and says, "RL," his name was R.L. Miller. He says, "RL, I got these new steel shaft Spalding Crow flights. They were PXG, weightless graphite, whatever it is today, right?" And RL looked at me. I interviewed him for Golf Journal, the USGA magazine, some years ago. And RL looked at me and said, "Well, Tommy," he said, when he did that, I knew I had to go win the tournament. He gave me his steel shaft Crow flights." So in between qualifying and going to Louisville, he changed his swing. He got used to these steel shafts and went up and won the damn tournament. And the next year was the runner-up in Portland, Oregon. The guy ended up playing in 9 U.S. Opens. And he would sit there and tell us stories when we were kids that just, we couldn't believe what we were hearing. "Well, I was paired with Byron Nelson at Oakmont. And that was it. No, this isn't possible." And so now we can, golf is not like any other sport. You hear these great legendary stories. I've gotten the opportunity to play Oakmont, St. Andrews, there's no better story. Pine Valley. And I played Pine Valley with my buddy who y'all met in Scotland, who we've been playing golf together for over 50 years. There's nothing like golf.
Mark, right?
Mark Sawson. And Mark and I, we travel. That game has been with us, our entire lives together. I do wax poetic about it sometimes, and I also recognize the difficult economics of it. And should you ever get the chance to read The Distant Green, you'll read some of my thoughts on some of the darker sides of the game, right? And particularly back in the days when there was not a lot of integration of class or race or whatever. But at the end of the day, the golf ball just doesn't care.
Does not care.
And the guy who can get the ball in the hole will rise to prominence. It just will happen.
Yes, sir. Indeed. Well, I feel like we could keep asking you many, many things, but we want to be respectful of your time. So we'll start to wrap up, and we've got a couple kind of fun questions, if you're all right with that.
I enjoy fun.
All right. The first one, the first question we ask everybody, we want the story of your most memorable golf shot.
Oh, man. Oh, what a great. Okay. The one I'm going to pick is Austin Golf Club, 2014. I was down there to discuss bringing the Corey Crenshaw Cup to Austin, honoring Ben Crenshaw, right? And so I got the incredible good fortune to play golf with Ben and 2 members at Austin Golf Club at Ben's home course, and one of the members is just the guy I love, right? He's got a white shirt. He's like chewing tobacco. He's got tobacco stains down the sleeve of the white shirt. He putts with the toe of his putter because he has the yips if he tries to hit it with the face. And he's a damn good player, right? And they play these games at an Austin Golf Club that are a little bit more stout than the games I like to get into normally, you know. And I was getting hammered. It's called the hammer game, and I was getting hammered, and we were finishing on number 9, and it's a par 5. It's got a Hell's Half Acre hazard on it, and Ben and the other member were out of the hole on the tee shot. They both blew it out, and so it's me and the other member, the opposing member, and we both hit decent drives. We both get it over the Hell's Half Acre hazard. I'm down something like $400 or something. You know, look, I don't like to lose that kind of money. Not the kind of golf I normally play. And I hit it up to maybe 25 feet, but above and left of the hole. You know, it's just this nightmare scenario of a putt coming down. And the other guy hits it 9 feet below the hole, kind of perfect, you know. And so I'm lining up the putt, going, oh my God, if I lose this hole, if I 3-putt it, it's going to be like $800. And I'm, you know, really not happy about that. And the guy comes over, he says, I'll do a buyout for you. You can pay $200 and you're out, no matter what. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. And I went up and hit the putt, and 8 feet from the hole, that putt was headed in, right? And it just trickle, boom. Playing with Ben Crenshaw, and you know, it was like my version of winning the Masters, U.S. Open, and Open Championship all rolled into one. I mean, it was that was the greatest single shot moment of my entire golf life, I think.
That's so good. Love it.
Took the purse too. That's even better.
That was great. And the guy missed his putt. I ended up winning $600.
It turned into a good day real quick.
It was an incredible turn of fortunes.
That's great.
So, you know, but I will tell you the other one, and the other one that I'm going to have to add in there. My dad passed away 2 years ago on Father's Day, which hurt for about a minute, right, that it was on Father's Day. But now I got to enjoy Father's Day thinking about my dad and watching the U.S. Open. You know, thanks, Dad. Kind of works, right? And we were playing, and he was probably 84 at the time. And we played the front 9, and I added up the scorecard, and it was 41, you know? And I looked at my brother. I said, man, Dad could shoot his age here. You know, and we went off to the back 9, and he did not shoot his age, but he missed a couple of stupid putts. He just wasn't thinking. He just wasn't, you know, and at the end of it, I said, Dad, you know, you had a chance to shoot your age. Oh, no, I could never do that. And I'm like, no, you were under pace to shoot your age. And I watched my dad for the last 8 years of his life have this incredible relationship with golf and this notion of shooting his age. And he finally did it when he was 84. And
That's
he probably
great.
did it 60 times, including the last round he played, which was 4 weeks before he passed away. He shot 86 when he was 90, you know, and so that's not a specific shot or whatever, but it's a part of the game that I just think, you know, if people ask me about my greatest times in the games, there's my shots, and I remember them, but there's also those, you know, you remember your buddy's shot or your dad's shot or, you know, whatever, just as much.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, Jonathan and I shared our most memorable shots a few weeks back, and you are kind of a part of both of our shots. Jonathan making his putt for an 88, first time he broke 90. He did it at the old course. And then my most
It's
memorable
so
was
amazing.
about, yeah, mine is about 30 minutes after we met, just that opening tee shot at the old course. Like something you've thought about for your entire life, and it's something you'll
Man.
never forget. So You're a part of our story,
It's
so
so
well
amazing.
done.
Yeah, well, likewise, right? And that was so much fun. I mean, I remember, running into you guys walking down by Rosaks and taking the selfie and sending it to Brandon. And
Yeah,
I mean, again, what a great world we live in. Um,
it is a great world.
again, does golf save the world? Well, I don't know if everybody play. They used to have a congressional golf tournament at Columbia Country Club in Maryland. And Mark Udall, who was a senator from Colorado, is a hell of a player. Told me all about it one day, and I really wanted to come. I tried to get permission to come cover it, and nobody would let me do it. But yeah, I mean, people play more golf together. They might find more similarities and differences.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, another fun thing we like to do is called the quick nine. So just sort of easy questions back and forth. The first one, and I'm guessing you have a long list. What is the favorite course that you've played?
Um, God, I think about this more than I should. North Berwick might be my favorite fun golf course in the world. Um, National Golf Links of America, close second.
Very nice. Those are still on our bucket list. I don't know if you have any left on yours. Is there a course at the top of your bucket list?
Yeah, I haven't played Marion yet, and I'd really love to play it. I'd really love to play it, and um, I haven't been to Gamble Sands yet. I want to go see that,
Yeah, they got a lot of good stuff going on up there too.
and I want to come down. I played Old Barnwell, but I got frozen out of Tree Farm, and I want to come down and see Broomsedge. So
Yeah, come on, come on,
it
we'll make it
keeps,
happen.
yeah, of course. There's no such thing as anyone who completed their bucket list in golf.
Never.
That's right. All right. What is the best course that no one knows about?
Ooh, Okefenokee Golf Club in Waycross, Georgia. It is
Waycross,
so good.
Georgia.
We that's when I was growing up, we had a crappy little golf course, but an awesome club, and the clubhouse burned down, right? And it burned down when I was 12, and so a bunch of guys at the club got together and uh, bought this land out on the Satilla River, and it's sandy, scrubby land. Today, you would know it as Ohoopee Match Club, which is 2 hours up. Same kind of land. And they hired Joe Lee, who at the time was a designer of some prominence. The land had 40 feet of elevation change. It was absolutely magical, and it still is today. And Joe Lee came and built that course, and that was the first time I got to watch a golf course being built. And actually got to sit on the bulldozer to help, run in the summer and do all that stuff and be a part of a golf course being built and got to play it on opening day, knowing that I contributed some little shovel of sand here and there, right? And to this day, it's the best course no one knows of.
Love it. Love
Waycross
it.
is just down the street. I've been there many times.
You need to check Okefenokee Golf Club in Waycross, Georgia.
I'll come meet you there, Jonathan.
Right, we'll make a southern tour of
We'll do a
Georgia.
video of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It is really good.
Love it. If you could only play one hole in the entire Dream Golf family of courses, what hole would it be?
Boy, what a great question that is. Uh, you know, there's the 13th hole at Pacific Dunes, right along the ocean, this incredible dune to the right. It's hard to, Pacific Dunes isn't even my favorite course at Bandon, but that hole, you stand there late in the afternoon and watch that come down. Close second would be, the close second would be number 16 at Lido, the Redan there. Spectacular golf hole in the late afternoon as the shadows are out and the angles show so much. Sorry, I can't answer with just one.
No,
That's
sounds
all
good.
right. All right. Dream foursome, anybody. Golfers, not golfers, dead, alive, doesn't matter.
Well, Again, I'd have so many answers. I've gotten to play with my dream foursome a lot, and I know
Oh,
it's cliche to say your dad and your brother and your brother-in-law,
not
but
at
we
all.
played a lot of golf for over 30 years. The
Hmm.
four of us, and we enjoyed playing golf. My foursome that I've also been playing for over 30 years with is my brother, Mark Saucy, who you met, and my cousin Junior from Statesboro, Georgia. And we have had a running match for, well, I mean, it's longer than 30 years. It's about 45 years. And, and I'll bet you we're within $20 of each other on the running tally. So that's, we call it the grudge match, and it reconvenes irregularly, and that's a pretty darn good time.
That's
Other than that, I mean, if I got to play with old Tom Morris would be unbelievable, and Lee Trevino in his prime would have been unbelievable to play with. So I'd say old Tom Morris, Lee Trevino, and uh, because I used to battle frustration on the golf course. I would say Tommy Bolt, just to see what it looked like.
I thought you
Very
were going to
nice.
list the Grateful Dead. I thought
I
you were just going
know.
to be like,
Well,
"You
I've
want to play
gotten to
golf with
play with
us?"
a member of Dead and Company, if that counts, and
Well,
and I get to play. Jeff Chimenti, the keyboard player, is a good player, and he and I've gotten to play quite a bit together, and so kind of check. I do love
right.
playing with Jeff. We have a good time.
Awesome. All right. What's your favorite club in the bag?
My new seven wood. I went to the seven wood this year. It's legalized cheating. You should get a seven wood.
I love it.
I'll give it a try. All right. Favorite snack on the course?
The dollar tacos at Sand Valley, man, up at Craig's Porch. Um, there's nothing like it. I mean, A, they only cost you $1. B, they're delicious, and they're just perfect right there as you come off number 9 and head to number 10. Dollar tacos at Sand Valley all the way.
I didn't even know there were tacos. I'm 100% setting up a trip there now. Like
Yeah.
that
You're
tacos
talking
is
Jonathan's love language.
that's absolutely. This question came around because I was in Cabo, and I don't even know what course I was at. It was some resort course, but every third hole they had a taco stand, and they routed you back and forth, so you get 3 tacos and a drink every single time you pass by. I didn't even care. I couldn't care less what happened that day. I knew I had tacos, and we started early enough. I had breakfast tacos and moved to lunch tacos by the end. It was perfect.
You
It was
you went through the
so
changing of the tacos. I
it
The
was
love
changing of the
it.
taco
so
season.
great.
uh,
It was a highlight for sure.
I've heard a number of people talk about those tacos, but I've also heard a ton of people talk about the protein balls there at Bandon.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Those. I mean, those are my. I'll sometimes get back from one of those trips and reach into my golf bag at some point and it's like melted, forgotten protein balls. I'm like, damn, and I'll eat them anyway.
Yeah.
They're great. Yeah, those are. We were
Nice.
doing a walking tour of the rodeo routing one time in the winter, and I mean, like two SUVs slid off the little Jeep road going in, and we shouldn't have been out there walking. I was trying to convince Michael Kaiser that it was too dangerous to be out there doing that, but we did it, and we got to the highest part of the course, and I mean, we were trudging through knee deep snow and all this stuff, and one of the guys in the uh, party with us pulled out a dozen of those protein balls. He had come down from Sand Valley, and we were able to eat those in frigid temperatures. And I'm pretty sure we all would have died of exposure if we hadn't gotten to eat those. So
Well, listen, you got the Cowboy Dunes. I'm right here. I'm gonna tell you the best thing you could ever do there. Cowboy ribeye. Just put that at the turn. They can make it so that you like everyone just grabs it with like a little paper or something, and you just chew on it on the way down. I'd eat
that's
a
Some
not a
jerky.
ribeye.
bad idea at all.
Uh,
Along those same lines, we have a blind hole, number 15. The second shot's up over a big dune, and so it's blind, and so you're going to have to ring a bell when you go off of it. And I don't know whether this will ever get actually done or not, but my suggestion was to ring a triangle, like the Chuck Wagon
Yeah, that'd be
triangle for dinner.
perfect.
Absolutely.
I thought
That would be
that would be
amazing.
pretty good.
You should do that for sure.
Well, one thing that Dream Golf does extremely well are golf logos. Everybody goes, and I think their merch budget goes out the window. So maybe we'll take the Dream Golf ones out of the question. But what is your favorite golf course logo?
A tie. Okay, I think the Creek Club with the little sandpiper holding the golf club in a very elegant, gentlemanly manner that is a first class logo, man. It is hard to beat that. You know exactly where that course is. You know exactly what it stands for. And then the other one is MacArthur down in Florida, the milk jug.
The milk?
And
Yeah.
MacArthur used to be a dairy farm. And maybe that was colored because they used to have a terrible logo, right? And then when they introduced the milk jug, I mean, you can't buy enough merch with the milk jug on it. It's just too good. And then favorite Dream Golf logo, Olivia, our brand person I was telling you about, does most of our logos, has done most of the Dream Golf logos, and she is absolutely amazing with her
She
ability
crushes it.
To capture. I mean, you would not believe the Sedge Valley Fox. You would not believe how deeply we debated the Sedge Valley Fox. Left paw, right paw. I mean, just crazy stuff. And we ended up with the perfect Sedge Valley Fox. I see the Lakeside pin flag behind you. Is that Lakeside Country Club?
Oh, right here?
The Swan?
No, that's Karn.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I was in LA last week and I was coming back and the guy in the gate had the Lakeside, it's a Swan, it looks like that, pullover, and then a Sedge Valley hat, and so naturally I had a conversation buddy for the gate, the whole
course.
time. But they're all so good. The Lido is a beautiful logo.
Agreed.
Lido's a really beautiful logo.
Yeah,
All
y'all
right.
do it very well.
Last question here. Finish this sentence. The best part of golf is.
Watching other people play. I love to go out and watch my friends play golf. And as much as I love to play it myself, and I do, I mean, the obvious answer is the travel and the people, right? And that's what the answer is. But I got a chance to walk and not play Seminole earlier this year, and got to watch Olivia and a couple of other colleagues who had never been there. I'd been to Seminole several times, I'd gotten to do that. And so we were hosted by a member. We can't play five, so somebody had to sit out, and I certainly was going to be that person. And I got to walk and be a part of that and watch them play and watch them discover it and enjoy it. And watching friends of mine or people I really like discover great golf holes, that's my favorite thing about golf.
What an answer.
That's
Come on,
perfect.
that's one of my new favorites right there. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now I don't want to go play golf. I want to watch other people play golf as long as I got a couple
It's so
tacos.
much fun, man. You don't get any of the hassle and any of
Right.
the self-loathing, any of the humility. You can just get to participate in the banner and encourage everybody and be there with them. And I got to caddy for my brother in the Mid-Am Championship some years back, and I always said that was my favorite experience in golf ever because I was 100% there for him, and I didn't have to go through the psychological torture chamber myself.
Yeah,
Um,
you didn't hit a bad shot the entire time.
I didn't hit a bad shot the whole time, and if he had only listened to me, right?
Oh, I love it. Well, Tom, again, we've taken up a lot of your time. This has been for us an honor. And again, you talk about meeting people and being in different places. So one of the highlights of our trip at St. Andrews was getting to meet you and Mark and getting to hang out a little bit. And just for stuff like this, that we get to talk and learn more about your story. One day get to read your book, but two, get to hang out and watch all the great things you guys are doing at Dream Golf. So
Well, I really
it's an
appreciate
honor.
that. Well, back at you, right? And I appreciate the chance to come on and talk golf and talk golf life and talk dream golf, right? And they all kind of, they all roll into one. And lives are novels, and I love that about life. You never know where it's going to take you next, and who's going to whose storyline you're going to intersect with. So I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you, Robby, up at Sand Valley in September. Jonathan, I'm bummed. Do you have a good
Well,
excuse? I'm not sure that you have a good excuse.
I'm a football coach for my son, and my wife and I are
That's
going
a
to
good
Greece.
excuse.
Well, we're going to Greece in September for a wedding, and so like I'm
So
coming
that's
back.
two good excuses.
That's what,
Okay, so
but I am going to be in Denver. We've got some medical stuff coming up, and maybe I could convince my wife that her and the rest could stay at the hotel for a day while I might find 9 holes somewhere with you. So maybe when I
Jonathan,
come over to
let
Denver, I'll
me
look you up.
know. We'll play golf, and I'll be glad to take you out for a tour of Rodeo Dunes if you'd like to see that, see what's
That'd be
happening
great.
up there.
It'll be a work trip, but my wife will have to let me do it now. So yeah.
Okay,
And I'll take you.
I tell my wife, that all the time. I'm like, okay, where are we going for? Last week we were in, or 2 weeks ago we were in St. Simon's Island, Georgia, right?
Yeah.
And over on Jekyll Island, the neighboring island, uh, at long last, the Jekyll Island Authority has funded a restoration of the little 9-hole Walter Travis course down there. It's going to be spectacular. And they took 9 holes from one of the existing 18-hole courses. And I said, well, baby, I have to go see that. I mean, what day is best for me to go over? So, he couldn't play it yet, but I went over and got to see it. And, hello, tax deduction, right? So it's work.
It is work, but it's fun. Yeah. So again, this has been an honor. We're excited about the just getting to know you and maybe some fun things on the calendar for the future. So,
Thanks, man.
yeah,
We're gonna keep y'all apprised of everything we're doing. I hope you'll be a part of our media contingent as we open Rodeo and as we open Wild Spring Dunes. We didn't really get to talk much about that, but it's a really beautiful, unique. There's no other land I've seen like it in Texas. And Tom Doakes has just been amazing in what he's created down there. So I look forward to working with you guys for a long time to come.